I walk and talk with Sherie. There's my friendly butterfly that likes to join along, but I have an idea for today. Makes me very nervous. I was actually inspired by a channel I just watched, Abundance of Goodness. And she brought up Revelations 1:18. And before I dive into that, I want to put some context here. The topic is, what are you scared of? Why are you so fear-filled? Because I propose that if your church was doing its job well, you should not have fear. That should be the end of the talk right there, but if your medical doctor was doing their job and you are following along with their recommendations and the intention is getting well, if you have not gotten well, then you need to find another medical practitioner. Now, if they're doing their job and you're not doing yours, then that's your fault. It's not the medical practitioner. But you can't blame your body. You can't. If your church and minister or fellowship is doing its proper work and you're doing your part, if you're still sickly and in fear, then why are you still going to that church? Because you've been going since you were 5? So you're remaining loyal to a building that's making you worse as you get older? The point of today is, why are you so fearful? And if you're so fearful, why do you keep choosing to do the same thing that is allowing you to still remain in fear? If it's not removed the fear, why do you keep doing it? Why do you keep believing what you believe if it is working against you? Because fearful beliefs are what cause physical health problems. As I'm walking down my driveway for the walks and talks that I do, I'm currently barefooted. So if I stomp my toe, then I've just had an acute accident. I'll go wash it, put a Band-Aid on it, and move on. Don't think a thing about it again. It will heal. I don't need to go ask my prayer group, which I don't have one. I don't need to ask my prayer group, oh my gosh, y'all, I stomped my toe so bad today, it's bloody. I'm going to need y'all to pray for me. Even if I broke the toe, I don't need anyone to pray for me, because I have the full trust that my body knows what to do, more so than I know what to do. My job is to clean it and wrap it up and keep going. Now, if I break my leg, a little bit different method of care, but I still don't have to ask my prayer group to pray for my leg. I can, but you got to be careful what you ask prayer groups for, because if you've got 50 people in your prayer group, or heck, if you only have 3 people in your prayer group, 3 people are praying for 3 different things. What are you going to get? Not everybody's on the same page when it comes to praying for something to be healed, because some people don't want healing. They like sitting at home on the couch watching TV in the air conditioning. This does not mean they're lazy. It means this is better. And I'm not saying I disagree with that or that it's laziness per se. It's survival. It is human nature. And some people have more tendency to remaining with doing or choosing the options that aren't always in their best interest, meaning doesn't allow for their growth. So choosing ease over difficulty is also problematic. I'm here to suggest, because, hear this before you hear anything else, because of my background, I see this more often, or I think it appears to me in my perception, because of my skewed childhood experience in churches. Now, when I was a child, I actually loved going to church, or I liked it. I didn't love it like some kids do, but once I was there, I could have fun with it. But I never was vacation Bible school. Never enjoyed Sunday schools. None of that. But also my personality is shy, introverted. I'm not a big fan of group type stuff for things I'm not interested in, right? Which again, true for everyone. The fear that I see people have, especially where I live, so context matters here. Even location matters here, is I grew up in the Bible Belt of the United States and still fully live submerged in it now. So I have full-on Christian background, raised under a lot of Baptist Methodist upbringing. The Baptists tended to be the one that had the most fear programming placed on me, and I'm not suggesting or accusing my ministers or people of doing anything of harm or causing problem. This again is about perspective. It's how I, as a child, understood the message that was being spoken to everyone. So there could have been 100 people in the room, but 40 of them never heard a single word the man said. 20 hear the sermon and just leave and don't think another thing about it. And then there's one, me, that hears it and is like, if I don't get life right, I'm going to be sent to a place of eternal torture and hell, and oh gosh. So as a small child who was already going through, a family crisis of, well, we won't get into the details, but, things that eventually led to, divorces in a time where divorces were, just then becoming a thing. And my sister and I were, I was under the age of 5. She's 3 years older than me. So when you have a fear in life, because your world is being dismantled, and again, this is not a blame game for parents. They did what they had to do. This is just where it leads us, and we don't have to remain victims. That's the point of today. If you've been in fear, why are you choosing to stay in fear based on beliefs that aren't even true? They're beliefs. Now, I'm not here to change people's beliefs, but I am here to suggest you change them if they're not working for you. You don't have to choose my beliefs or my truths, but please choose something that's going to be advantageous for you in life and finances and relationships and health, particularly, which is what I focus on. Because once I let go of the fears that were caused by erroneous, false beliefs, my body started spontaneously auto-balancing itself. What I had thought was genetic, MTHFR genes. I had done all the genetic tests, things that I've recommended and even ran on other people myself as a health coach, working in functional medicine and spiritual coach, and now the subconscious reprogramming through things like hypnosis and emotional reframing, which is really what works. I mean, go pay for those thousands of dollars of blood labs if you want to, but here's the real deal. And trust me, I like blood labs. I'm not knocking them, get them, but all that typically does is tend to make people more scared. Then they call me, oh my God, I have this. So what? Like, I don't mean that in a careless way, because 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh my gosh, I know, I had it. Here's what you do. That's flawed thinking. As if you have to do something to fix yourself because you're broken. Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong initial approach outside of an actual urgent emergency. Snake bite, car wreck, trauma. But the reason why MTHFR is expressing itself right now is because you've lived in stress for over 20 years. Probably 40 by now. Okay, so you're not your genes, but yet every morning you wake up and you say, here I am in this same body with the same problems. Let me see if I can make a new day better by doing something different. And you get up, and the first thing you do is the exact same thing that you did yesterday, and a week before that, and a year before that, and 5 years before that. And you call it your genes. The fear is, for those of you that have stuck around now 13 minutes, which 13 is a feminine number, the divine feminine. So that's my audience, is those women that are divine feminine. However, they're living as pretend men in a world of patriarchy that only likes women as sexual objects or intellectual objects. You can't have both. Certainly can't be more than that. You either have to be pretty and be dumb, or be smart and be ugly. But your weight, no matter who you are, if it ain't right, you ain't good enough. That's the world you live in, and the divine feminine within you, it's killed. It's killing. That's not the right words. It's oppressed, suppressed, and she's ready to come out. And the fear and BS is what she is sick of. So that frustration that's felt within is going to be expressed as health problems. Health problems, when I say health problems, include physical health problems, mental health problems, emotional health problems. So and spiritual health problems. So it's all inclusive when I say health problems. When I say problems, specifically, it covers all areas in life. So I'm not necessarily naming one. But the fear that I feel, and I certainly experienced, and I think not everybody has this problem for sure. So that's why my audience is going to be on the smaller side. This is not going to relate to everyone, but those that it does, it's really going to be impactful, is we have a fear of going to hell. Now, you will sit here as an adult and say, I do not fear that on the daily. And of course you don't. And I had someone say to me the other day, because many of my clients work in the medical profession, oddly enough, as bad as I talk about the medical profession, and if you've been around me long enough, I've been doing this for almost 20 years, you'll know that I'm not talking about the medical professionals themselves. I'm always talking about the system. Even when I talk about religion, I'm not talking about your minister. I'm a minister myself. I am not talking about the people involved. I'm talking about the system, which is why I have many clients that are medical professionals, because they can't go to speak to this about their own they can't go speak to their own medical practitioner about these things, because the medical profession does not acknowledge these things. So even the people in the medical profession see me but won't tell you, because that's not their job. You're supposed to find that on your own. You're the seeker. Ask, seek, knock. Nobody's seeking. You're just doing what everybody else is doing, expecting to get a different, better result, when all you're going to get is the same shitty pills. I mean, if you want that, that's fine. I wanted it for much of the first part of my life anyway. The only reason why I changed is because it almost killed me. Thank God I survived it. And then came back and said, you know what? I don't think I want that anymore. I actually do like being alive. So yeah, it took something extreme for me to change my views and have this more extreme, or what would seem extreme to others, although it is not at all extreme to me. This is the absolute normal. I think going to the doctor every time you get a runny nose and getting a pharmaceutical, I think that's absurd. I used to do it. Now I can't. How did I even learn that? But that's why is I learned that from, that's what my family did. That's what their family did. So we're only a few years removed from where we didn't have any pharmaceuticals. So as you can see, I've delayed the topic today. I told you I was a bit nervous about it. There's no such thing as hell. There's no such place as hell. As in, when we were children, the stories are taught. Remember, Bible stories are parables. They're not literal stories. So if you got triggered when I said there's no such place as hell, that's on you to sit with. I would stop this video right now and I would go read Richard Rohr. I would go read Shelby Spong. I would go read Ernest Holmes. I would go read, trying to think of a female. That's enough. The only hell I've ever known, even when I checked out, if you know what I mean, in this life journey, the times that I had seizures and was on life support and was not, I tell people I didn't flatline, but I was definitely offline. Nobody wants to know what happens when people go on the, are not here. Nobody's asked me that. Nobody's directly asked me anything about my hospital experience. And I appreciate that because I haven't felt the need yet. There were a lot of things that happened, especially after, that I had to talk with people about because the veil between worlds, meaning this physical world or let me say the world that I live in today as I know it post-seizure versus before my brain went through this breakthrough. It was truly a breakdown, but led to a breakthrough because I didn't allow the medical system to hijack it. And I had to do that very carefully, so I can make no recommendations on that for anyone else. All I can say is thank God and thank for my own life, goodness, that I had this awareness, even just a fraction, enough to question when I came back from that health scare experience, offline experience, and they told me, you'd had a stroke, you've had seizures, you have epilepsy, you have this. I'm so incredibly grateful that I had the awareness and understanding prior to that frightening experience that they don't know what they are talking about. In the sense, I'm not saying they're wrong, they were right, in the sense that they only saw it from the physical side, physiology side of existence. They had no idea what was happening emotionally and spiritually. And because I had done this work, read about this, not really shared it with people because, I live in the Bible Belt. You can't talk about these things. They have to be hidden. So I did just that. I studied on my own at home and didn't go out with friends because that was more important for me to learn. And it's true. It's still to this day. I take books to my daughter's ball game because they're both important to me. I don't have to choose what's more important. I have 5 very important things, and I can love on them and take care of them all at the same time. I don't have to dismiss part of what fills me up with life in order to do a duty for, a role that I am in, say as a parent. My children know that about me. My children aren't children anymore, but my family knows that about me, and I understand what their priorities are. So there's no place after death called hell in the way that I was taught as a child. Now, certainly, if you want to believe in hell, carry on and turn the channel now. Just move, swipe up or left or whatever. Click the next button. Our religion, the religion part of religion, so religion is the structured side the physical, worldly, structured side of what's written in sacred text. Spirituality is the inner experience of your own connection with your higher source based on your spiritual text. Okay, so religion is the external format. So religion would be like going to this tree and standing in front of it. While you're not necessarily worshiping the tree, you just know there's something outside of you that you need to go to in order to send your prayers and requests to. Like you went to a coffee shop, okay? And before you can place your order for coffee, and certainly before you can receive it, you have to do a ritual, which is singing and sometimes going up to the altar, putting some money in a plate, or maybe they'll pass it around the room. And then once you go through, the external ritual that everybody can see, we're all one here. See, we're all one. If you're outside these doors, you're not one of us. If you go to a different church, you're certainly, a different denomination, you're certainly not one of us. So this only counts for people like us, and it can be different churches like us across the globe. They're included too, but not you other denominations. Okay, that is called religion. And religion has dogma, which God backwards. Am God backwards. They left off the I and then spelled am God backwards. Even the devil is lived, backwards. So you have to understand the wordplay and the magic, and there's so much. Again, I've been studying this since I was a small child. I'm 52, and I started, reading about this since, I kid you not, since I was old enough to go to this school library. And then I discovered the city had a library, and when I found people to take me to the library, it was game on. When I got my driver's license, people will think, she's running off having No, I was taking myself to the library. I kid you not. I was not the normal teenager. I missed out on a great deal of life, and I'm not complaining about that. I am just emphasizing that I don't know how people can't be interested in this, because it's all I've ever known about being interested in. So you have to forgive my passion and why it's the only thing I talk about, because it's quite literally one of the only few things I ever read or discuss. Like some people only talk about, sports or a specific sport. Hello, this is my topic. I'm not going to talk football with you. I like tennis, but probably won't sit around and talk about it much, because I'd rather be talking about this, preferably not to myself. But I don't have an audience right now, because people, I think, don't care, and that hurts my heart. But I got tickled at myself yesterday because, and again, you can see I'm still avoiding the conversation. So this is a total wash, like 0 views. But I got tickled at myself because I get frustrated about problems that I really don't have. I create problems, get frustrated about them, and then realize I created the problem originally. So we all do that. There's no hell. The hell that I have visited many times during my 52 years happened right here on this planet. I was never alone in hell. Hell is very full of alive people walking dead. And this is the legit, if you want to know who I really am, and the tree limb just is falling. Make sure my dog's over here. There he is. Oh, never mind, it wasn't a tree, it was a truck. The only hell I've ever been in, and I didn't just visit, I actually moved in and lived there for many years. I have referred to them in the past, I don't talk about it anymore, but as the dark years. How my marriage sustained that, I will never know, other than just by the God within my own husband, knowing something bigger was at play and allowing the passing of time without the undoing of a beautiful thing. Because it would have fully been on me had it fell apart. That's how bad things were. Just sickness, depression, totally lost to myself. As a child, saw my mother go through the same thing after attempting suicide and going through severe states of depression where she locked herself in her room for quite literally, months to a year at a time, at very impressionable ages. For myself, but of course my sister, which I am not gonna bring her into this, although she's fine with me if I need to, but that's her story. So I want to make sure she knows she's included, but I don't want to speak for her. So I say that to acknowledge that, yes, she went through this as well, but I don't share her experience because that's for her. And we had different experiences. We had different relationships with both of our parents and family, as everyone does. So Revelations 1:18, I went back and read, and it written by John as Jesus stating, I died and now I've came back. And, presents this, you were once alive. I volunteered to die to show you the consciousness that lives in me. Some people get scared by that word, but consciousness is just your different levels of thinking. So you have a consciousness when you're asleep, you have a different consciousness when you're studying, you have a different consciousness when I'm doing this type of talking, you have a different consciousness when you're, drinking alcohol. So consciousness is just a different level that the brain can attain in its ability to focus. So again, hypnosis, I can take people into states of not just trances, but so you can let down that critical factor, that kind of filter in the brain that says, no, we're not letting that new information in because this is protecting us. And so that's why people can't move forward in their life, because the information that they're holding within that's not letting them move forward is blocking their momentum. But when you remove that false belief out that's causing them harm now, they instantly start doing whatever it is they want to do. And the anchor was literally just released, and they're moving forward. It's the most amazing thing. I've never seen anything like it. And the only thing I hate about it is it took me this long in life to find it. I would have been helping people 20 years ago with this had I known it. But now I do, so that's where we are. I had to learn a lot myself to get to this point, because the entire business has changed over the course of my 20 years. I think people have health problems because there is a fear of not just dying, because I do think some people find relief in the struggle is over, but it's the fear of just not existing anymore, and nothing is left behind to even prove that you did exist. But that's what the church has placed on us. That's the Roman rules. The Council of Nicaea in 400, 4th century or something, 300 or 400. This is not a history lesson, so this is a broad general statement of why the church brought in fear. Because you have to remember, the church used to be over the government. So how do you control the masses? Well, fear is the number one emotion, besides love, that is a powerful, motivating emotion. So love will make someone jump in front of a bullet, die for someone. That's how strong that emotion is. Fear will also make someone outrun someone else so that the other person will get eaten before they will. Not that they don't like that person, but survival. The human body is wired for the self-preservation, self-survival. It wants to outlive as long as possible, including your friend. So that's why the saying, you don't have to run faster than the bear, you just have to run faster than the friend. It's kind of a sick way to do it, because most people would never consider themselves, a murderer. But when it came down to it, you're not choosing. It is your brain, your nervous system's instinctual reaction to survive at all cost. And it can, look rude, because survival is not an issue of cordality. It's like, I was talking about the fox the other day in the woods, and what I was trying to get to is when they see me, they've seen me walk up and down this driveway a bunch of times, but they don't care. If I were to start walking over to them, they would not go, well, hey, we enjoy watching you walk up and down the driveway all the time. Keep it up, good work. They're gonna get up and run. Why? Because just because they see me walk up and down the driveway does not mean they can trust me. So the human body, I had a client tell me this one time. She's like, I've never heard you talk about this before. So maybe I haven't. I have since she told me that, but your brain, nervous system, is wired just as ancient as, there's my dog running across the yard over there, okay? It's just as wildly wired in its most basic part, in the the brain stem for keeping you breathing, keeping your heart beating, like the basic body functions, kidney, the excretion, the bowel movements, the basic keeping your body alive, functioning, being able to digest food, perspirate, sweat, excrete, all of that. Okay, so that's one level of consciousness, and you're not even aware of that, because even, when people go into comas, they still have some control over it. At some point, then they have to put them on machines, because the consciousness has dropped so low that even their body is losing its attachment to consciousness at all. We're only alive not because you have a body. You can have a body in the hospital and your consciousness is out in the hallway. You're not your body. When I had seizures, I was not in my body. I was out here. So my life is not dependent on this body. I don't care what any churchy person, religious person, priest, preacher, minister, saint, I don't even care if they're a devil worshiper, because I know that doesn't exist. But what I know is nobody can tell me that that's not true. I mean, you can certainly sit there and state your case. I'll listen. But because I have literally been outside of my body, and my body still maintain its heart beating and its breathing and its staying alive when I left, that I know we don't need a body to be alive. But I do know now the purpose of the body. And I know why mine got so sick. And I think that's why most other people, especially women, I mainly focus on women because I'm only experienced as a woman. It does not mean I can't help men. It means I speak from the reference of living as a woman. If that does not offend you, it will not offend me. But I think coaching women is much easier than men, mainly because just the hormonal complexity of women and their menstrual cycles, and or how the medical system has ripped their reproductive systems out, causes complications. So that's why I think if I can work with women, I can most certainly work with men. That being said, I'm a woman, so I relate more to a female perspective. And going back to what I say regularly, many women live like men today. I'm not talking about the way they dress. I'm talking about the way they show up in life, which is why I've said over and over, menopause means pause being a man, woman. This does not mean you've got to turn into some girly girl. What it means is stop suppressing what's pissing you off, what's not being done appropriately. Quit letting things slide by in your life. This does not mean you have to become a crazy woman. What it means is mature emotionally into a grown-ass woman and be who you're supposed to be. Speak up when you're supposed to speak up. Stay silent when you need to stay silent. Get away from people when you need to be away from them. Get in there when there's work to be done. Stop worrying about the wrinkle between your forehead. I mean, you can if you want to. Listen, I get my nails done. It's not about, I grew up in you can't tell from my videos, but a family of cosmetologists. We love makeup and hair and nails. If you love Botox in your face, go do that. All I'm saying is don't think that's what you are. Putting Botox in your face is the same as, I have a scratch on my car, so I'm going to go buy that paint and put the paint over the scratch so it's just not as noticeable. But I know I'm not the car. Right? The car is just my vehicle. The car is just my tool that I use to get from place to place. Well, your body is just your tool to get from place to place. But you, if you want to use the analogy of the car, you're the same as the driver in the car. You're the driver in the car, you're not the car. But when you associate yourself as being the car and it gets a scratch on it, and then you lose your shit thinking that, oh God, the car's broken. Car's got a scratch. Or what if the transmission goes out at, 20 years old? The car's 20 years old. So in human, that might be 50 years, 60 years old. You have a health complication. All right? Transmission's dead. Oh no, it's died. It's the car. The car has parts. You replace the transmission, the car will work again. All right? You are not your body. If something goes wrong with it, you can have it repaired, but you keep going. Here's the kicker that I'm trying to get to. There's no hell. When your body finally gives up and there's nothing left in it, and it's time to retire the vehicle, car, the body itself goes away, but you just don't have a body in that moment. You're free. You're free from the constraints of the body. You've returned to source. It's not that you've died and you are no more. It's the fact that you are no more in that specific body. And people fear when their body gets sick, I'm about to die. Now, it's not that direct train of thought. It's not that direct train of thought. But, Adeline, hold on. It's not that direct train of thought, but what it is if you understand how the subconscious or the mind works, and if you think your mind is located in your body, there's your belief. That's wrong. Flawed. Again, not wrong, but flawed. So, when we fear that the body breaks and we die, then we leave before we're ready, that heightens the fear, which physiologically will express itself in the body nervous system or sympathetic nervous system getting revved up again. As it gets revved up, those same symptoms that you're originally having that were frightening to you get heightened again. So it's a constant cycle of the fear feeding the symptoms making you think there's a problem. You get scared, then the symptoms increase. It makes you think you have bigger problems. So it's a constant cycle of, in your brain, the looping, which is why I'm trying to teach people to get out of the loop. Once you get out of the loop, you're living on autopilot, like the old cassette tapes, or even on your Apple playlist. You can hit play this album or this one song over and over again, or you can do it on, shuffle. You can also do it on shuffle and loop, right? So your thinking's the same way. Is as above, so below, as within, so without. what you see out there is the same thing that's happening in you. What's happening in you is the same thing that you're seeing out there. Every sage and poet and saint and wise person has said it since the beginning of ages. Christ himself, Christ Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, you name it. We've even had modern people. Eckhart Tolle, one of my favorites, Ernest Holmes, Joseph Goldsmith. There's so many. I'm finding more and more every single day that teach the same message of peace. When you find the truth, your church may not give you the truth. They might be telling you the truth, but how you hear it is what disconnects people. So that's why I say there's no hell. There's also no duality. The duality is made up in your own mind because you are human and divine. So in your natural state, being human and divine means you are invisible as much as you are visible. So there's a physical part to me. So you can see my frizzy hair up here in this, humidity. And, you can see my eyes, and you can see I've got glasses on, and but within you, there's space between this camera and my face. That's just as real. The space between the camera and my face, that's just as real space as the physical you're seeing. You can only see the physical here because of that space between us. So the space that's between all of these cells that are dense enough that you can finally see me is what is the real us. So every physicist knows. I mean, you ask any physicist, any chemistry, anybody in science, are we more physical or not? And they will answer you, we are more invisible than we are physical. And that's just fact. What it means is like this flower pot is hard and dense, and we say it doesn't have life in it, and that's true to a degree. That just means that the molecules are moving so slow, so slow that it's hard and dense. But our skin is, more, it's alive. It has actual living properties in it. Blood is flowing through me. There's fluid, there's sweat, there's salt on the skin from sweating. So my body is not only receiving information from the sunlight from my eyes into my skin, but my body itself is also sending stuff back out. So this is just as much of a Wi-Fi station or Wi-Fi transmitter or a radio, like you're a transmitter and a receiver is what I'm trying to say. You receive information and you send out information. So why people can be so complex is because we have this complex prefrontal cortex of the brain, which, like the fox has the reptilian and the mammalian brain, and like my dog here has the reptilian and the mammalian brain. He only has a tiny little bit, so science tells us, of a prefrontal cortex. Humans have bigger prefrontal cortex, which is what they think makes us able to like, the fox gets scared and runs, doesn't ask questions. We humans, we feel a feeling that we interpret as scary and we run. Or if you're like most people, you get a feeling, you interpret it as scary, and you stay in the elevator with the person. And then they pull a knife on you. People aren't understanding who they are. Again, if you've made it this long, people do not understand who they are. They think that they're just the body. The body then has a feeling, and they go, oh, I feel it, I like it, or I don't like it. If I like it, good, let's get more. If I don't like it, oh, let's try to stop it. So let's go eat food, or let's go drink beverages, or let's go smoke something, or let's go busy ourselves to distract. Okay, again, I'm guilty of all those. I'm not saying I'm immune. This is the way the complexity of the human brain works, is we ignore the sensations because the prefrontal cortex is telling us, well, I mean, it's overriding the most ancient part and primitive part and instinctual part of ourselves, which is more honest and real than the prefrontal cortex. So we get into fear, yet when we feel fearful around someone, we still stay with them. Why? Because we muck it up by trying to be polite. I don't want to hurt their feelings. So you would rather die. You would risk that person killing you when you have the feeling this does not feel right. You're gonna risk your own literal life because you're afraid that your feeling might be wrong, which is not, and you might hurt their feelings. The murderer's feelings. That's how programmed people are to not believe their real self. That they will go to the doctor and ask for help. I am not feeling like myself. Something's off. Well, you're probably depressed. Well, I don't have anything to be really depressed about. That's okay. It's a feeling. Here's your pill. Well, okay. And they go take a pill. The feeling was there, not even to get you to go to the doctor. You went to the wrong industry. This is not to knock you. This is to educate you. That's the way we've been programmed to do it, but that's flawed. The more proper way to do that would be to go to a counselor. There is nothing wrong with going to a medical provider, which I did when I was going through the spiritual awakening. I wanted to make sure that the physical body itself was actually okay. So I went, not looking for things to be wrong, but let's make sure my thyroid's right. Remember, I've had a thyroid removed, so I do depend on thyroid hormone, so I do have to check that and monitor it. That's a real life physical body thing that I have to pay attention to. I don't like to, but I have to. That is where I am on this journey in this body that I currently have, based on the mistakes or choices that I made in the past. Now I have to live with that. So I warn others so they don't have to live with the same mistakes and consequences that I did. People don't like to learn that way, but I'll still share. So we get into this doing what everybody else is doing instead of, why the F am I going to go do that when I've done that 15 times? And everybody I know has done that the same way, and they're not getting results. When we live under this fear of, I don't know what to do, it's being disempowered. The only way back from that is empowerment. You have to unlearn the wrong ways the world has put on you, and they're still giving you the exact same examples today. We literally just had a group of women here yesterday talking about hormones being so messed up through their menopause years as they're hitting menopause, and it was due to them being on birth control. Their doctors literally sit in the room with them and say, yeah, because you took birth control pills all these years, which they wrote the prescription for, Yeah, that's kind of what's made your hormones messed up. And on the very same day, the next appointment even, they are writing a 14 or 15-year-old girl a prescription for birth controls. Birth control pills. After they know the risk of breast cancer, reproductive cancers, and the risk that it's going to cause down the road, their model of medicine is poison. It's not for your long-term benefits. If you need it for now, I myself use, again, thyroid hormone. I am currently on the seizure prevention medication while I'm going through this journey, because the nervous system is still heightened. My brain can really go out there, and I have to have a little help to keep the seizures from happening, because the frequency gets so high in my brain. I can think about 5 different things at one time, minimal. Again, after the seizures, a lot of things happened, although I think they happened before the seizures. I had the seizures as a response to it, and now I'm saying it happened because of the seizures, but I don't think that the seizures did any rewiring. It was just my nervous system had reached the point that so much was coming in and being released at one time that my body had to shake it all out. It was like, you're done. Like, we gotta get rid of that. So I've done energetic clearings. We just did an energetic clearing for the group at the house yesterday, clearing the biofield, which again takes a lot of pressure off the nervous system, because your nervous system is not contained just within you. When religion has made you so fearful as a child, do not think for a second that you do not bring that into your life today. I do believe that's the main reason for autoimmune, including celiac, including Hashimoto's and Graves', including rheumatoid arthritis, including, again, you name it. A lot of people have autoimmune diseases that they don't know are autoimmune. And if you look up your diagnosed disease, see if it falls under the category of autoimmune. I myself think that a COPD falls under autoimmune. It will not list that, but I also don't believe any disease actually exists in the way that they tell us that it does, because if you were not born with it, you do not have to keep it. Things will automatically rebalance once you get your body temple back into the right form of worship, which means removing the false beliefs. When you remove the false beliefs that are causing the fear within the body, the physiology balances and you have harmony. In case you don't know, the word heaven is very much related to harmony, harmonic. Harmony is a song that has to do with music, notes, frequency. If you've been paying attention, you've heard me talk about frequency and vibes. When your body is in or out of coherence, meaning balance, so think of your heartbeat, think of EEGs, think of when they just the ebbs and flows of the moon. It's in and out, in and out, in and out. Life is a lot of ups and downs, but some people are choosing lives with like super highs and super lows, and that is incoherent, because some people are like going, that's incoherent. Your body is going to reflect your inner chaos. You're going to act like you have a physical body problem, and people do that because it's much easier to just give that off to somebody and say, hey, I got this physical body problem, you fix it. Then realizing the truth, which sets you free. You're not free because you keep giving your problem away to other people to fix. But when you get with yourself and you start understanding coherency and harmony and frequency and vibing properly, and how watching certain TV shows or news or the music or being around certain people actually causes your heart to go into palpitations, not for a good reason, you'll stop doing those things. Or you like them so much that you'll choose them and they will kill you. And that is your free will. But people do not have to live sickly. They choose it. That sounds very harsh to say, and I only say that because I lived sick for many, many years by choosing it. It was not a choice I knew I was making, but because I was brave enough to listen to other people talking about really weird things that everybody around me said, that's kooky, don't pay attention. Well, all that kooky and woo-woo and weird and don't pay attention to, I did, and my health was restored. So I don't mind sharing, and I don't mind when people think things are kooky and crazy, because as soon as that red flag gets waved, I go in that direction. So I like when people yell and wave that red flag, because now it helps me find things quicker. When before it was always so difficult to find the people that were really speaking the truth, and now all you got to do is read the comments, and people will tell you real quick who's still asleep, who's still living in a lot of fear, and who's telling the truth, because the fear of hell is the number one reason why people have inflammation. If you know Latin, you'll know inflammation means in fire. And to be scared of hell is to be living in fire. And one of the main things that people have trouble with in their health today is inflammation. Biblically, God destroyed the earth the first time. It was said by water. In the end, in Revelations, it says by fire. You're doing a pretty good job if you listen to the church. You're going to go down the way they tell you are. If you listen to truth, you will be saved by fire. It's your choice to decide who you want to listen to, whose truth you resonate with, and choose accordingly, but choose very carefully. Because if you're not free, you're not under truth, and that's how you know. The truth does set you free, and the truth you don't necessarily hear, you resonate it. You resonate with it, which means you feel the truth. Good luck with that.